Hello everybody and welcome to Lace's Dungeon, where I, Lisa, a newbie D&D role player, read some role-playing horror stories, and some of them get crazy. So here they are. This post is a D&D experience that ruined my relationship with my cousin. My older cousin and I bonded over our love for D&D. We often talk about it online. He has been in this 3.5e Tolis group that he had been in for 2 years. For weeks he has been complaining about his group not taking role-playing seriously, and I thought nothing of it. I thought his group was cool and really admired him for knowing D&D so well. One day, my cousin invites me to his D&D game as a one-shot character for around 6 sessions. I was beyond ecstatic because I had heard great things about Tolis and always wanted to try other editions of D&D. I only tried 5e and 4e. I decided early that I wanted to be a gnome bard. There's a subclass for it, and I find gnome societies and mischievousness fun. I was so excited to play Tolis that I ignored the multiple warning signs when I get into contact with the group's DM. First, the DM refused to have me integrated into the story when I suggested that my character can offer her services to the main party because of her gratitude to the main party. Character-wise, she hates cults, and the main group defeated an important cult before. I asked if that could be related. He replied, "Your backstory relating to cults is too irrelevant to be integrated, because our enemies are servants of chaotic gods, and it'll be hard for your nobody character to relate." I concede, but I find it weird that his tone suggested that I am overstepping my boundaries and what I'm suggesting is somehow impossible. After 4 painfully boring sessions, this is the DM's attitudes regarding the following. Bargaining. Suggests that I am wasting the party's time for trying a basic mechanic. Finding magic scrolls. My character is a nobody, at level 11 and can't get invited to magic shops yet. Asking for basic information. Suggests that I am wasting the party's time because I am, again, a nobody and normal bartenders are big shots too important to be bothered by people like me. His disregard to any attempts of cooperation is making my one-shot character entrance natural to the main group has been visible since day 1. 2 hours before my first D&D session, I was thrown a pot MacGuffin to deliver to the party, a book that has ancient stolen elven city involved. I find it a pretty cool quest line to deliver, however, there's a problem. My character is a storyteller historian, not someone who is even qualified to explore ruins. My skills in bard profession reflects this. After to change my character up to better fit this role, he said no need. Another problem being that I created a well-traveled character background so that I can know the common sense of the land better. He suggested that my character has just visited Tolis before so that I wouldn't have to stumble around just to buy potions and equipment, etc. The DM also refused to give me any prior Session 0 stuff because I need to earn my place in the city. He gave me the New Player's Guide to Tolis, which was written beautifully, and I fell in love with Tolis as a setting even more. However, that guide is for level 1 characters. My character is a level 11 and was supposed to be a footnote to the main group's story. The New Player's Guide to Tolis. The DM keeps on suggesting I read the guide whenever I ask him questions. What he doesn't notice is that most of the questions are about the guide. For example, half of the beginner shops that sell used equipment or used magic items simply does not exist because the DM finds it too troublesome to manage. His answer when I ask about why these shops don't exist, go read the guide. Second warning sign appeared when in my first session all the players are in a bad mood because they all died once and lost their OP items. There was a recent death of my cousin's character, the group's leader, and he decided to build a new character. This group has real-life drama and mental breakdowns at the table, and I feel very on edge whenever players act hostile to each other. They pretend it is done in character, but a lot of them are ad hominem attacks. I roleplayed as a wary traveler who offered her service to the group as an exchange of favors. I held off on delivering the MacGuffin questline because I want to get to know the other character first and see how they roleplay, so I can add on to their story. Spoiler alert, they have none and thinks I am wasting their time for asking them. After the first session, the DM, who is 10 years older than me, immediately berated me in private messages because I wasn't following directions, but all he did was give me the MacGuffin. He didn't say to deliver it. I think story-wise, it's rude to ask for help to a group that is grieving over the death of their leader and was still working on another urgent questline. But no, I wasn't listening to the DM and was stupid for not delivering the information outright. All of the above I don't like, but my cousin invited me to this session and I want to make do. However, there's one thing I cannot stand. People in the group often bully players who made bad or awkward decisions and treat them as if they do not have common sense because they don't think the same way they do. Here are the few examples. Another player went into a fit, calling another player a dumbass, when the other player simply opened her lines with "how's the weather?" When I tried to push an NPC for more information and tries intimidation with highly successful rolls, the DM refuted me by calling me deaf and described my simple intimidation threat was as unbelievable as claiming I am a half-god. The thing is, my intimidation is based on real events that happened in the story. My character did not lie. It has become clear to me that this group is nothing but the DM's attempt to feel powerful when he screws over the players. But this does not end here. Lastly, these D&D sessions ruin my relationship with my cousin. When I raise my questions to my cousins, he is very dismissive to my concerns, saying things like, "You didn't roleplay enough. If you were more creative, the NPCs wouldn't be so hostile to you," etc. When I said that I want out saying I'm not a good fit, my cousin became very defensive of the way the group plays. I was called neurotic and obsessing over nothing. He says the way I play D&D doesn't accomplish anything. Needless to say, we don't talk about D&D anymore. That sounds like a very toxic group, and I don't know if I would have even continued after the first few sessions, especially with the way the DM is treating everyone. And it seems like the DM isn't really trying to make D&D fun for everyone. He's trying to make it more of a quest of being all-powerful over everyone. Another post is, "Being a Kenku isn't an excuse." So, another game, a different party. This one actually involved my fiance and her family and friends, so even though it aggravated me to the point of yelling at the player to just shut up, it had to be handled with a level of decorum. Some necessary backstory. My fiance has been part of this D&D group since long before I moved states to be with her. She's played at least 3 or 4 campaigns with several one-shots to completion with this group, including Curse of Strahd, Tomb of Horrors, an official Dragon Age game, the name escapes me, and Homebrew. The group was made up of her friends and family, all of whom she's known for years. The players and their names are as follows: Nina, my fiance; Adam, Nina's cousin; one of the 2 DMs, boyfriend to Dorian's cousin; Dorian, Nina's longtime friend; Carl, another longtime friend of the group. These people have known each other for years. They've all been close friends for 13 plus years, and in the case of Nina and Adam, their whole lives. They've had a long game history, with Dorian being DM in the last game, and when Adam extended the offer for me to join his game he'd been planning for years, I was ecstatic. I wanted my fiance's friends and family to like me, and I felt that bonding through D&D would help. Adam's game was heavily based on dark matter, but was still homebrew in story and allowed homebrew characters. He had worked for 2 years world building for this game. He had several binders filled with world lore that we could access at any time, spell cards for our witch, and weapon stat sheets as well as race sheets. In the group we had Crescent, the Rothian witch, Nina; Ankenha, the Avira paladin, me; Tulip, the Kenku bard, Dorian; and Boy, a gunslinger ripped straight from the Destiny game, Carl. We only played this game for 2 sessions. The first session, not counting our session 0, had our main spaceship being attacked by Rothian warships. Our main mission, given by my paladin's commander and surrogate father figure, was to escape on a ship he'd had hidden in the bay and gather forces and warn people of the incoming invasions, as the Rothians were planning universal domination. Now here we get to the meat of the issue. I played Anken to be straight-laced, by-the-boot military man who only wanted to get back to save his commander and fulfill the needed steps to do that. Krast was your typical snarling, "I have no choice but to team up with you" Sundir with a secret heart of gold. Boy was a wild murder hobo who was only concerned with actually dying and staying dead. As for Tulip, as all Kenkus, could not speak. She could only mimic sounds she heard. Dorian happily proclaimed that the only way Tulip could communicate was through song. I thought that maybe Dorian would be singing the entire game, and I was mildly amused with the idea. Like what, Space Broadway? No, not at all like Space Broadway. Dorian went the more painful route. Some actual dialogue from Dorian describing Tulip's method of communication. She pulls out a lyre and begins to aggressively play it in a battle song, and then on their phone turns on Spotify and blasts a heavy metal song. This wouldn't be an issue, except that Dorian had their phone on full blast while our DM had ambient music, and they did not turn their music down during other players' turns. If anything, they began to turn the music up if they felt the DM's ambient music was interfering with Tulip's song. They also did not put effort into any other ways to communicate. They'd say Tulip cause, which means, hey guys, let's go look over there and do this. I could excuse this. I know it could be hard to play a character that can't speak. Dorian would still have Tulip run away from the group with the excuse, I'm not telling you guys where I'm going, I'm just going, and derailing the session so that they could, and I quote, get the shinies from the stores. Dorian would constantly change the music and interrupt battle turns for other players, and on one occasion actually interrupted mid-character interaction to one-up me. I had managed to tame a mutated badger-esque creature, and with a nat 20, suddenly gained a pet. The little thing climbed on Ankin's shoulder, and right after I happily named the thing, Dorian slammed their hands on the table and immediately began to play flute music on their phone. D. I'm gonna play a song and lead the badgers away from Ankin. A. But they're not aggressive. The one that's on Ankin wants to stay with him. D. I'm leading them away. I'm rolling for it. They rolled a 17, and Adam did let Tulip lead away the badgers, but refused to let them take the one that's now Ankin's pet. When I got on Dorian's case at the end of the session 2 for several more interruptions and trying to take my moment, they just blinked and let their phones blast tiny music. Tulip's a bard and all she cares about is shinies, so she's going to do that. Could you at least stop with the phone music or ask Adam to play it through the speaker so it's not as tinny? No, I want to play it and that's how I'm going to play my character. If you're wondering why we only played 2 sessions, it was because Dorian had a COVID scare 2 days after meeting up with the group for an unrelated Halloween one-shot and didn't tell anyone that they had exposed us. We found out through their cousin, Adam's girlfriend, because my dad told me not to tell and I got stressed so I just went to bed. Also, yes, Dorian also made the Halloween one-shot a nightmare. So, this seems like a problem that the DM needs to talk to the person about. Like, D&D, from what I know, is supposed to be about all the players, not just one. And for the fact that they continuously went over the DM and the other players and made it harder for the players to have fun just seems like a problem, and the DM really should have talked to them and, stopped it at the source before things got to this point. And I feel like the phone music would be kind of annoying, especially when you are trying to play the game and not get, ignored. I do understand why he would want to, because if his character, that's how they talk, it would make sense, but to continue it after their turn and then over other people's turns and even over the DM, it just seems a bit rude. But anyways, that's the last post for today. I hope to see you all back here on Lace's Dungeon. Have a good day. Bye.